Hellos.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel.
If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell.
Yes, so we are Koree and Sylvia Bichanga, and today we are going to be doing a video with our friend Ikraan. She will not be on the video, but she is going to be showing us how to make a Kenyan street food.
Ooh.
What's the name of it?
Okay, we usually call it Samosa for our Kenyan ghetto guys, Samosa, but it's Samosa.
Samosas,
right? Yeah.
yes. It's a triangle shaped, it's shaped kind of like our turnovers would be at home, a triangle shaped, and you can fill it with beans, you can fill it with
not
meat.
Beans. Green grams.
Green grams is a bean.
I didn't know.
I think so.
I don't think so.
So green grams, it's kind of like chickpeas or something. You can fill them with those, or you can fill them with like minced meat. Today we're going to be making them, and we're going to be filling them with minced meat, which is hamburger.
Yep.
So we hope you guys are going to enjoy this. So we are just chopping the onions into very small pieces, and half of the onions will be fried with the meat for more like a seasoning, and then the remaining half will be more of like where you can actually taste the onions with along with the green and yellow peppers, giving it a texture. Okay, so you use a small amount of oil, and then you're going to fry the first half of the onions for a seasoning. It's part of the seasoning. So we are going to fry up these onions until they're nicely sauteed. Then secondly, we're going to add the meat. So now we're getting ready to add the meat. And after we've added the meat and it's cooking, it's when we'll be adding spices. So the meat will be fried until it is completely free of any water or oil, no moisture remaining, because if you put it in the samosa shell, as you'll see later, it will make the shell to be soggy if you don't remove the water and the oil from the meat. So we are going to fry it until it's completely free of any moisture. Now we're adding the chicken spice cube. It's basically like chicken base or chicken flavoring back at home. Next we're adding turmeric. And a half teaspoon of cinnamon, and approximately 1 teaspoon of turmeric. So we stir up the cinnamon, the turmeric, and the chicken flavoring as we continue to fry the meat. So we are going to be adding a little bit of black pepper. And just stirring it, frying it until there's no oil or water left in the meat. Okay, now that the meat is cooked, we are going to be adding a little bit of salt. Okay, so now the meat is fried, it's dry, and we're going to add the remaining onions. So we're adding the green pepper and the remaining onions. So right now we are mixing in the green peppers and the remaining onions without any heat, just mixing everything up. Okay, so you're seeing 2 pans here. We actually divided it up because the other one, it was very hard to fry it because it was so full. So we've divided the 1 pan into 2 pans so that they are easier to stir, and we have it on a low heat. We are just going to stir this for approximately 1 to 2 minutes. You want the vegetables to remain raw and a bit crisp because later we are going to be deep frying them as well. So you want the vegetables to remain a bit raw. So right now we are getting ready to make the dough. We have flour, oil, and salt here. So this is going to be the dough part of the samosa. We are just measuring out the flour. So we're adding another ½ cup, so approximately 2½ cups of flour. Adding some oil. That's about 2 tablespoons. Adding a little bit of salt. You add a little water, you mix, again you add water, you mix until you've finished all of the water needed for the dough. you're not going to use all of the 2 cups of water. Approximately what she's used here is about a half cup. The dough should be a bit stiff, so we are just doing the final kneading process here, mixing up the dough. So not the 2 cups of water, but more like a half cup. And then just mixing it together till it's stiff. So we are adding some oil to prevent it from sticking to your hands. Instead of adding flour, add a little bit of oil. So after kneading the dough, it should be formed like this, not sticking to your hands at all. And then you let it rest for 20 to 30 minutes. Covering it with the lid. So now the flour is ready to be rolled out and made into the triangle shaped pastries that we need for the samosas. So this is the process. Okay, so right now we are rolling the dough into this long strip. Then we are cutting them into smaller sections and we will roll them out in a circle. So we've now divided the dough into smaller portions, and now we're going to be rolling it out into a circle. And before placing the next one on top, we are going to add some oil on the surface of the dough that you're seeing here, and a little bit of flour. And then we'll place the second one on top. And then the next step is going to be the frying process. So as you can see, she's adding a little bit of oil to make so that the second layer doesn't stick to the first layer. She's added it on the top, making it the same size. So now that we've placed them on top of each other, we are rolling them out together to save time and work. you roll 2 of them at the same time. So we're continuing to smooth out these 2 dough balls. And it's important to make sure that they're the same size. So the next step is she's cutting along the edge to make them exactly the same size, sizing them. So you want to make sure that you make a nice round circle is the goal. Should be nice and round. So now we are getting ready to fry the dough. It needs a little bit of frying on either side. So you just have it on the heat like this, on either side for just a minute or 2, and just make sure that it doesn't burn. Okay, now that we have fried both sides for a few minutes, she's just resizing it to make sure that it's completely round. If there's anything out of line, you just cut off any little pieces to make it completely round. Okay, so now we are going to be cutting it into 4 sections. Section 1. Okay, now we are going to separate those 2 doughs that we had placed on top of each other. And there you have 2 triangles. Perfectly thin pastry dough. So after you pull them apart like this, the 2 pieces of dough, you fold them and you put them underneath the towels. You switch it to the opposite side, so you fold it and into the towel. So we've now cut up all of these pastries and put them in here to keep them from drying out. Now we're going to make a paste with flour and water. And this is to seal the edges to keep the meat inside the pastry. So first we picked a pastry from below the stack so that they would be a bit moist. And now she's folding in the edges and adding this flour mixture for kind of like working like a glue. You put it along the edge, you fold up the other side, and there you have a cone. and then you fill it with however much meat fits into that cone, making sure it's not too full. So you just pack it in, you flip the lid around, and again you glue it to fasten it to the bottom part with the flour and water. I'm calling it glue, but it's the flour and water mixture over there. So you press it together, and there is a samosa ready for deep frying. These are ready to go into the frying oil. Okay, so the oil is hot and we are getting ready to fry up the samosas, and then we'll be placing them in this pot right here to drain the excess oil, and then they are ready for eating. A few minutes on either side until it becomes brown and crispy, and then you know that the center is hot and it's ready to be served. So we are now turning them over. Once they're golden brown like that, you know they're done and ready to be turned over. After frying, just dab them with maybe a napkin or a paper towel and remove the excess oil. The less oil that remains on them, the better. the finished product. These are samosas, a Kenyan street food. They are filled with hamburger, onions, spices, and green peppers and yellow peppers. So after a long, hard day of work, here is what we have to show for it. Look at that. Very delicious.